So, Harlene, I was thinking we both do a lot of work with couples, and there's so many things to think about because they can get very complicated. And one of the things I think about a lot is how do I get started with couples? And I wonder what thoughts you're having on that now.
Getting started with couples.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I agree with you that it's challenging work.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say challenging, I won't say difficult, I'll just say it's challenging. Because each couple is different, and you meet so many couples who have a lifestyle or values that are different than yours. And I think it's very important to try to put all those things aside so that you can get to know them the way that they want you to know them. I also think that it's important the way that you begin to get to know them and the way that you welcome them. Because someone has called to make the appointment, and I've had a brief conversation with them, but I have no idea whether the other person has been told or whether the information about the phone call of making the appointment has been shared. So I often begin with just welcoming them, saying, pleased to meet them. I look forward to helping them, hopefully helping them.
Hopefully.
And I want to begin kind of a more general kind of conversation to begin to know a little bit about them, not about the quote-unquote problem or reason that they're there. So I might begin by saying something like, I noticed that on your form, you each put your cell phone number, and it's different area codes than in the Houston area. So I'm just curious. You moved here from someplace else, or how did you get to Houston? That kind of thing. And so they begin talking about that. And then whatever they say, that may give me clues for the next curiosity. So, for example, we moved here from Chicago about 2 years ago. Oh, okay, so what brought you here from Chicago? You have family here, or you moved from one of your jobs, something like that?
So you're getting to know them. You're not focusing on the problem at this point.
It's also not only getting to know them, not for the information or the data, but a way of beginning to figure out how we're going to be with each other.
So how the relationship's going to be.
Yeah, how we're going to be able to talk with each other. And if I know the person that referred them, for example, I might say, that, and this is a friend, if you talked with her about your situation, or are there other people that you've talked with, and just those kinds of things. Have you been to other therapies before?
So kind of expanding the, again, not information, because that's not what's so important, but their ideas, their beginning thoughts, and the input from other people they've been in conversation with.
Right. Who are their conversational partners outside of
that's a good
the three of us in my office together? So, and so just whatever they begin talking about, there's a lot of openings to begin to get to why they're really here.
Well, and even to back up, because we've had this conversation before, like it starts before they're in your office. Right?
Yes.
I mean, there's some conversation or thoughts that go on before, and I was wondering, like, how far back do you think of it as starting the conversation before the office even?
With me, I think if they were referred by someone rather than just picking my name out of a directory, that I might ask about that. I might...
like on the phone call? Or because I'm talking about before they're in the room.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about... I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Because something starts for me, I think, before they're even in the room.
I wouldn't ask about those kinds of things before they're in the room.
But you might know. For example, I know you've had, and I have too, another therapist may have called and said, I'm referring this couple to you. Or a friend may say, I'm referring some friends of mine to you.
Right.
And so then someone calls. So I'm wondering how you think of that as part of the beginning.
It's part of the beginning. I wouldn't, though, directly ask what they've told the other person or why they think the other person referred them. Those kinds of questions. I think I would again begin with whatever that I have learned about them, been told about them, or that was said on the phone call. I might begin with some of that information as a way of inquiring more about it. Yeah, so I never know until I'm in the conversation, because I think they tell me what to be curious about and what questions to ask. So I start slowly, I start very carefully. I don't want to start in a way that escalates whatever's going on, or suspicions about whose side I'm going to be on.
Right. Which begs another question. Usually one person of the couple has called, and sometimes they want to start telling you all about the problem. And so how do you decide who comes in or how much to listen to on the phone when the person is like compelled to tell you everything? And how do you, because that's beginning something, right?
I might just say it sounds like a complex situation that's been going on a while, and I really look forward to meeting the two of you and hearing more about this, and also hearing more about your ideas of how I might be helpful to you.
To the one person on the phone.
On the phone, yeah.
And then how do you decide who comes in? Because sometimes couples have different ideas about that.
I will ask. I'm assuming that the two of you will be coming in together, and they might say yes, and they might say no. Well, my husband doesn't know.
Or he's out of town.
Yeah, or he's out of town
something.
a lot. Or my wife doesn't know that I called you, so I'll say, well,
there's that.
Yeah, I prefer to meet the two of you at the same time, but I can appreciate that doesn't sound like that would work for you. So, so we can make an appointment, and I can get to know you a little bit, hear your perspective, and then we can decide where to go from there.
Okay.
Maybe I'll meet the wife separately, and then maybe I'll meet the two of them together.
Yeah, so you kind of get creative about who you're going to see depending on what the person tells you.
Yeah.
So to wind down, because this could be a very long conversation, but to wind down, what are some points we would both want to highlight? And I'm picking up on the going slow and getting to know the couple before you dive into the crisis or whatever they come with. What else comes to mind?
Appreciating that they have their own ideas about what's important for me to know about them and their life.
You're not going through a checklist.
No, I'm not going through a checklist.
By the cues they give you.
I go by the cues they give me in our talking. So
that's a good beginning.
Yeah, it's a
right? And the idea of multi-partiality, entertaining the views of
that I really
in
do
the
not
system.
want to appear to be more partial to one member of the couple than the other.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for inviting me to talk with you.